of CAI and the IT Metrics and Productivity Institute, we would like to welcome everyone today to this webinar on taking responsibility for technology. This webinar has been developed by Don Shafer, CTO of the Athens Group. My name is Susan Soul, and I'm filling in for Michael Malutis today on behalf of CAI. You will be able to hear Don and myself as panelists, but just as a reminder, all other audio lines have been muted. As co-founder and chief technology officer, Don Shafer developed Athens Group's oil and gas practice and leads engineers in delivering software services for exploration, production, and pipeline monitoring systems for clients such as BP, Chevron, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, and Shell. He has led groups developing and marketing hardware and software products for Motorola, AMD, and Crystal Semiconductor. Shafer has been twice treasurer of the IEEE Computer Society Board of Governors, past editor-in-chief and chair of the IEEE Computer Society Press, an IEEE senior member, and a Golden Core member. He is also a software engineering subject matter expert for the Cockrell School of Engineering's Advanced Research and Software Engineering Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Shafer has contributed to 3 books, written more than 20 published articles, and is co-author of Quality Software Project Management, published by Prentice-Hall. He is a contributor to the 2010 edition of the Encyclopedia of Software Engineering and is a certified software development professional. His current projects include the development of a multi-volume set of software engineering proven practices for the oil and gas industry based on more than a decade of extensive engineering work done at the Athens Group. He is the co-author of Quality Software Project Management. And Don, would you like to tell us a little bit more about the Athens Group?
Well, thank you very much, Susan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sounds good.
Super. Well, we're consultancies based in Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, and we have offices in London and Korea. We basically do independent third-party verification and validation for oil and gas control systems, both offshore and onshore. And that's going to be some of the things that I wanted to talk about as we look at taking responsibility for technology.
Great. Thank you, Don. As noted earlier, today's webinar is brought to you and sponsored by CAI. CAI is a global IT services and outsourcing firm that is currently managing active engagements with over 100 Fortune 1000 companies and government agencies around the world. CAI is delighted to be here today to facilitate this discussion, and we are looking forward to a productive and an informative webinar. Before we start the webinar, we do have a few housekeeping notes. If you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please feel free to submit them throughout the presentation via your question and answer interface. We will get to all of your questions at the conclusion of the webinar during the question and answer session, but I would encourage you to post your questions as they arise. If anyone has any audio or visual technical difficulties, you can also use the question and answer interface to notify us, and I will personally respond to those issues in real time in order to get you up to speed as quickly as possible. I am happy to announce that today's webinar, as well as all future webinars, have been accredited by the TMI with 1 PDU credit. You will be eligible to receive exactly 1 credit for today's webinar, and the code for that credit will be emailed to you and a confirmation of attendance email within 24 hours of the conclusion of today's webinar. If anyone has any questions about what to do with this code once they receive it, we do have step-by-step instructions posted on our main webinar site, and that URL will be displayed at the conclusion of today's webinar. Please note that there is a PDU processing fee for ITMPI non-members. For those of you who would like to review today's webinar more than once, or if there is a webinar in the future that you may miss for some reason, we do record these live webinars, and all recordings are being uploaded to our online library of webinar recordings, which you can access anytime at itmpi.org/library. Please keep in mind that there is a 5 to 10 day business turnaround time from when a live webinar is complete to when it actually shows up on the library site. Please also note that there is a recording access fee for ITMPI non-members. For those of you who would like to become an ITMPI member and enjoy the many benefits of membership, including unlimited free recordings and unlimited free PDU codes, please visit our membership page at itmpi.org/subscribe. So thank you everyone for your patience with the opening remarks, and at this point I will turn things over to Don.
Thank you very much, Susan. So we talk about taking responsibility for technology. I couch this in the post-Macondo world. The post-Macondo world is in the oil and gas industry what happened after the disaster on the Macondo well that British Petroleum and Transocean and Schlumberger were all part of 2 years ago. And I think, as I'll use this as a theme throughout, but it's also one of those things that there are lots of technology areas that we need to be very mindful of. I think the first thing in oil and gas, we look at controlling, technology, and it's not really the point. And I think, I'll go back and I'll move away from wireless and multi-core chips to something as simple as a pocket knife. And at times when you want to control technology, you can make some mistakes that cause disastrous consequences. One of those was on the Macondo. There's a picture of the rig itself. Transocean, the operator, the owner and operator of the rig itself, has a rule, and I've been on a number of their offshore platforms. I've worked with them over the years, and if you carry around a pocket knife, you can't take it onto the rig. Mike Williams, who I've known for years as the chief electrical technician on the Deepwater Horizon, and his group in the lifeboat was the last ones off. You can read on the slide what happened. They were tied to the rig, and people were falling out of the life raft. Nobody had a pocket knife to cut the painter on the rig, or the painter on the lifeboat. What actually happened was some fishermen who were in the Gulf, and there's lots of fishermen there, came up very closely to the rig. They were also heroes in this, and they actually threw a pocket knife over to Mike Williams so that he could cut the painter. And luckily those folks escaped with very minor injuries. So when we start thinking about technology, controlling technology isn't the point. We're always going to be using it. I'm sure many of you in your own organizations may have some different rules about technology, and we have to look at not only the controlling of it, but the building of it itself. One little point to keep in mind, I'm sure that many of you may be in organizations where there are either restrictions on smartphones or there's restrictions on using the cloud or open source software. And I think that all of you have probably experienced many times in your professional careers, and as have I, where there are some expediencies where we have to either get very close to the line or we actually have to break the rules. And some of those things happen in technology. But as engineers, as technologists, I think that we all need to look at a code of ethics, and a code of ethics that we ascribe to ourselves. And not all of us are professional engineers. In fact, for those of us in software engineering, it's been a fairly long road to try and get that recognition and to get the statewide recognition